Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick flow that's suitable for all levels and is beginner friendly. Let's get started. So to begin, we're going to come into a nice cross-legged easy seat or Sukhasana. So we can cross at the ankles or we can cross at the shins. We're going to press our knees down towards the floor, growing nice and tall through the spine. We're going to roll the shoulders away from the ears, gently closing the eyes down. Just taking a moment to maybe sway gently side to side, really grinding down through the sitting bones, finding our balance points. And then beginning to soften all the little muscles of the face. Maybe unclenching the jaw. Notice if we're holding any tension between the eyebrows, around the eyes. Just allowing the skin to soften here. Tuning our awareness inwards towards our breath. We're just observing the breath, just noticing the breath as it is, not trying to change it or alter it in any way. Maybe noticing all the little qualities of the breath. Is the breath shallow, a little bit higher up in the chest? Maybe it's a little bit more full in towards the belly, the ribs. Noticing maybe the temperature of the breath. So as we inhale, it's a nice cool breath coming in through the nose. It's a little bit warmer as it comes back out. Maybe noticing what parts of the body move with the breath. So is the breath a little bit more shy, a little bit closer towards our chest or collarbone area. Or maybe it's a little bit deeper. Maybe we can feel that expansion through the belly, through the rib cage. Just watching the breath for a few moments more. And then nice and gently beginning to open the eyes. We'll take it into a little seated twist. So I'm going to place my right hand on my left knee. My left hand's going to come all the way behind my left hip. And I can be up nice and tall on my fingertips here. So using my right hand, I'm going to see, can I twist a little bit further across to the left hand side. And then the last thing to turn is my gaze. So the very final thing that I'm turning is my chin. Beginning to look out over that left shoulder. I'm pressing into the back hand to sit up nice and tall, and then that right hand's there to help turn around a little bit further. We'll take a big breath in here. And as we exhale, we'll come all the way back through center and take it across to the opposite side. So left hand to right knee, right hand behind right hips. Up nice and tall on those back fingertips. We're using that left hand to help ease us around a little bit more, bringing the gaze out over that right shoulder. So we inhale, we press up nice and tall. So we exhale, we see, can we twist a little bit further? Another breath here. So in through the nose. And as we exhale, we unravel, we come all the way back through to that nice seated position. Walking the hands out now in front, we're going to come into a forward fold. We can stay up nice and high on the fingertips here, keeping the back and neck nice and straight. Or we can begin to maybe walk the hands a little bit further, maybe release onto those forearms, allow the head to be nice and heavy, rounding down towards the ground. Our hip bones are reaching back, our fingertips are reaching forward. Breathing into the upper back area, shoulder blades. Big breath in here. As we exhale, we're walking the hands all the way back in towards the shins, and we'll take them now just behind the hips. So both hands behind each of the hips. From here, I'm going to squeeze those shoulder blades together, allow the chest to open up, maybe bring the gaze, the chin towards the ceiling as long as our neck is comfortable. So we're opening up through the throat or the front of the neck, expanding through the collarbones, through the chest, and then coming all the way back through center. And we're going to bring ourselves around to a nice tabletop position or all fours. So you want the hands to be stacked underneath the shoulders. The fingers are spread really, really wide, so we've got a nice stable base here. My gaze is down in between the middle of the thumbs. My knees are directly underneath my hips, and if I look back at my feet, they're in line with the knees, so it should nearly be quite difficult to see the feet. We're pressing the ground away from us, squeezing those shoulder blades in together. Gaze is nice and neutral, and we're engaged through the core. And then from our little tabletop, I'm going to begin just to tuck my toes, maybe walk my hands about a foot or so out further ahead. Begin to peel the hips up nice and high. So we're coming into our first down dog. We might notice now that we need to either shorten or lengthen our down dog, just depending on our own length of our limbs. And we might begin to walk the dog or pedal the feet out, lifting and lowering each heel once at a time. Our gaze is down towards the toes, and the goal really with our down dog isn't to get the heels towards the ground, but to get our hips up nice and high. So if that means we need to stay up on the toes to do that, then we're much better doing that. We're going to press our upper body back towards our thighs. Going to have a nice deep bend in those knees. And then from here, I'm going to bring my gaze up towards my hands. Begin to step that right foot all the way up in between, giving it a little helping hand if it doesn't get there on its own. And then we can release that left knee down. So the back toes, we can either keep them tucked or untucked, just whatever is more comfortable. We can begin to walk that right foot out a little bit wider if we need the extra balance. And that right knee is stacked on top of that right ankle. I'm going to place my left hand down beside my foot. Begin to open all the way up into a twist. So right hand lifts up towards the ceiling. Gaze can be up towards that top thumb. We're really pressing up and away from the floor, so we're not collapsing into that left shoulder. So we're into our easy twist. So we exhale, we're going to float that right hand all the way down. This time both hands are inside that front foot. And my right shoulder is pressing against the inner side of my right knee. So we're setting up for our lizard pose. Maybe we begin to walk that back knee back a little bit further. So we're really opening up through that left hip flexor. We can stay up nice and tall on the hands here. Or we can begin to maybe lower onto one elbow. Maybe taking it down to both elbows. That right knee is still nice and close to my right shoulder. And we can stay here in stillness, or we can add a little bit of a sway side to side. Opening up through that right hip and the front of the left. Bringing both hands back in line with the shoulders. I'm going to press my way back up to that high lizard. And then swooping my right knee all the way back in line with the left. We're back into that nice all fours or tabletop position. So setting up just for the opposite side, I'm going to tuck my toes, walk my hands out a little bit further in front. Beginning to lift the hips up nice and high. Again, maybe pedaling out through each leg. Maybe finding stillness. We're pressing our weight away through the hands, bringing our upper body a little bit closer to those thighs. Gaze is down towards the toes. And then when we're ready, we're going to begin to hug that left knee all the way in towards the chest. And then stepping it through or giving it a little bit of a hand to come in between the hands. Lowering onto that right knee, we can begin to widen our front foot a little bit wider. And then from here, planting my right hand, Beginning to open up this time to the left hand side. So coming into our easy twist just on the opposite side. Gazes up towards that left thumb. Big breath in here. And as we exhale, floating that left hand all the way down to the inside of the left foot. Again, my left knee is directly on top of my left ankle. I can begin to walk that right knee back a little bit further. So opening up through that right hip flexor. And then stand up either nice and tall on the hands, maybe beginning to shift our weight down onto our elbows. And again, that left inner knee is nice and snug in towards the outer edge of my left shoulder. So the knee's pressing into the shoulder's pressing into the knee. We can stay in stillness here, maybe have a little bit of a sway left and right. Breathing into the left hip. And final breath here. And then we're placing the hands underneath those shoulders, pressing all the way back up. That left leg is going to sweep round to meet the right. Back into our little tabletop. This time from here, I'm going to walk my knees back a little bit further behind me, walk my hands out a little bit further in front. And I'm going to come into poppy pose. So I'm going to allow the hips to come up nice and high, the chest to sink all the way down towards the floor. Maybe the chin rests on the floor. So we're reaching up nice and tall through the hands. And the hips are up nice and high, pulling back. So we've got this nice opening through the fronts of the shoulders. Breathing into the posture. And as we inhale, we're going to press all the way up, allow the hips to sink down towards the floor. And then dropping onto the elbows, coming into our Sphinx pose. So I'm pressing into the palms of my hands, my elbow, the fronts of my hips, tops of my feet. Really lifting and lengthening through the upper body. Gaze is out straight ahead. Shoulder blades are pulling in towards each other and the shoulders are down and away from the ears. And then nice and gently, I'm going to begin to trace a line with my nose across to the left. If you imagine someone's giving you a little bit of a kiss on the right cheek. And then coming all the way back through center, and as we exhale, taking that gaze across to the right. Big inhale here, as we exhale, coming all the way back through center. Begin to tuck our chin towards our chest. So lengthening through the back of the neck. And then all the way back through center, gaze towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we come all the way back through to a nice neutral Sphinx. I'm going to begin to walk my hands where my elbows once were. So coming into like a cobra pose. And then hips are going to come all the way back towards the heels, coming into our child's pose. So hips come back towards the heels, the knees can be together or they can be nice and wide, big toes touching. The arms are reaching out ahead. Allowing the forehead to maybe come into contact with the mat. Gently rolling it side to side, maybe swaying through the hips. And then beginning to walk the hands both across to the right hand side. They might come off of the yoga mat. And we're allowing the head to sink back down in between the arms. So it's a nice side stretch from that left fingertips all the way down to the left waist. If we want to take the stretch a little bit further, we can begin to stack that left hand on top of the right. And we're rolling the left armpit area down towards the floor. Breathing here into the left rib cage. Big inhale in. As we exhale, we unravel, we come all the way back through center. Then we take it across to the opposite side. So both hands walking across to the left, allowing the head, the chest to sink on down. If we want to take it that little bit further, we can stack that right hand on top of the left, rolling the right armpit down towards the floor. Breathing into the right rib cage, the right waist. Big inhale in. Exhale, we unravel. Come all the way back through to our child's pose. Then we're going to press our way all the way up to a nice tabletop. Going to swing our legs to one side, making our way down into a nice seated position. So coming firstly into our staff pose or Dandasana. The legs are out nice and long, straight ahead. Toes are going to face in towards us, so we're really engaging through the backs of the legs. Hands are going to come either side of the hips, rolling those shoulders down and away, nice and straight through the spine. Chin parallel with the floor. Just taking a few rounds of breath here. Shoulders melt away from the ears. And then as we inhale, we're going to bring the arms all the way up and overhead, reaching nice and tall through the sides of the body. Maybe the gaze comes up between the hands. So growing nice and tall, reaching the fingertips towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, we begin to hinge over both of the legs. So reaching as far forward as we can, and then allowing the hands just to fall wherever they naturally come. So it might be the soles of the feet. It might be the yoga mat beside our shins. We might even hold on to the sides of the yoga mat. And then we can release that upper body on down, finding a gentle bend in the knees if it feels more comfortable. Allowing the head to fall down towards the knees, but it doesn't need to meet the knees. So our double-legged forward fold. So we inhale, we come up halfway. See if we can lengthen a little bit further forward, leading with the chin, with the chest, and then allowing the body to fold back over the legs. We're going to place our hand just by our feet, begin to walk the hands in nice and close to the hips. And then we're going to make our way onto our back. And once we get there, we're just going to hug both knees in towards the chest. Taking a little gentle roll side to side, maybe drawing little circles with the knees. Massaging out that lower back. We're going to allow both soles of the feet to fall on towards the mat, walking the heels up nice and close to the hips. So ideally we should be able to touch the back of the heels with our fingertips. The feet are about hip width or maybe even wider. Knees are pointed up towards the ceiling, and the soles of the feet are firmly planted in towards the floor. And then from here we're going to come up into a bridge pose or a Setu pose. So pressing into both feet, both hands, and the shoulders, we're going to begin to press our hips up nice and high. We've got a little bit of space here between our chin and our chest. The knees might travel a little bit further forward, but we're squeezing the glutes, squeezing the quads. We don't want to let the knees fall out towards the side. So imagine we had a block that we're keeping hold of between the knees. And then as we exhale, we're going to see, can we roll down each vertebrae at a time. And the final thing to touch the floor is the tailbone. and setting up for just one more exactly like that. So we're pressing into the soles of our feet, the palms of our hands, our upper back area. Beginning to gently lift the tailbone, traveling all the way up the length of the spine. Squeezing those glutes, the thighs, lifting the hips a little bit higher. And then as we exhale, gently rolling all the way back and down. I'm going to take the feet a little bit wider, so maybe about the distance of our mat. And then gently allowing the knees to fall to one side. And then the other. Just moving between both of these sides. Kind of like the wipers of a car. Until we come into our final resting position, our Shavasana, our corpse pose. And we can take any variation here. So maybe we come into the more traditional Shavasana, where the legs are out nice and long, arms are by the side. If you find that that's not that comfortable for the low back, we can begin to bring the feet as wide as the yoga mat, allowing the knees to come in towards each other. And that should just help that low back get into contact with the floor a little bit better. If we prefer, we can come into a cobbler variation where the soles of the feet come to touch, the knees go out nice and wide. Or if there's any other pose you'd like to come into, so maybe a child's pose, maybe on our side, anything at all, somewhere that you're going to be comfortable to finish your practice. So we'll be here for about a moment or two. Somewhere that's nice and comfortable, you can find stillness. Begin to do a little scan of the body from the top of the head all the way down to the toes. Just noticing if there's anywhere that we're holding tension or gripping in the body. Quite often it's that space between our eyebrows, maybe clenching through the jaw. Seeing if we can find a little bit of space here, a little bit of softness. Close over the eyes if we haven't already. Tuning back in towards the breath. Maybe noticing if there's any changes with the breath. So maybe it's a little bit smoother, more calm. And we're just following the breath as it travels in through the nose, down the throat, into the lungs, expanding through the chest, through the ribs, maybe the belly. And then following the breath as it travels all the way up and back out through the nose. And we're here for just a minute more. So just noticing where your attention, where your thoughts go. Just acknowledging those thoughts and maybe steering them back into the present moment. So maybe bringing it back to your breath, to any noises you can hear around you. The feeling of your body sinking into the floor, maybe the clothes on your skin. Anything at all that brings you back into the present moment. Nice and gently, we're just going to begin to wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, bring a little bit of energy back into the body. Be gently taking the head side to side, stretching out through the neck. And then in our own time, we can begin to make our way onto our side. And then using our hand to bring us all the way back up into a seated position. You can roll the shoulder blades down the back body, sitting up nice and tall through the spine. Hands can come to rest on the knees. Chin can tuck gently towards the chest. We'll just take a few moments here together. And nice and slowly we'll bring the hands together in front of the heart. Thumbs to breastbone. Gently begin to bow forward and whisper namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any requests for any yoga videos you'd like to see coming up, just drop me a comment below, and I'll see you again soon.